Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin and the general markets as Trump, less than 24 hours, I won the bet, less than 24 hours later, he changed his tune real fast. Dexamethasone, ladies and gentlemen, that's one hell of a drug. Also saying, hey, no, I changed my mind. No, we will do stimulus. Talks are back on the table. Anyway, so we'll dive right in. We'll take a look at that. So stocks rallied Wednesday, just hours after Trump's tweet storm signaled he was opening up for a number of separate fiscal stimulus measures. Only hours, again, after calling off those stimulus measures. Again, you see the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose over 411 points. The NASDAQ Composite 1.8%, and the S&P rose back to where it was. So we're going to start there and then take a look at Bitcoin. I always like to look at the general markets because what we're doing is measuring market sentiment as a whole. Our industry is not in an isolated echo chamber, although we like to feel it is, I'm sure. So one of the things I found interesting here was just how much pressure those talks put on and then off the markets within a very short period of time. So as you can see, for those of you that are watching, we rose right back to the top of our trading range at around 340 points for the S&P 500 or 3,400 if you're looking at just the stock S&P 500. Again, this is really noticeable. We are going to have a bull market based off stimulus. If they don't, our market and our economies globally will crash. It's extremely deflationary no matter what happens. Not inflationary, counter to most people's popular opinion. Opinions are often wrong, but the markets are not, and we have not seen any of those effects in the market. So again, you have an all green day, 2% on silver. You've got US oil up 0.2%, Tesla up 3%, Zoom up another percent almost, Square, Spotify, PayPal, Slack, the rest all up around 3 to 4% in the regular traditional markets. So if we scroll up to the top, the VIX also had, just as quick as it went up from yesterday, it turned around, and again we're still forming a higher low. I suspect that we will stay in this volatility range somewhere until after the elections. Now, I want to take a look at Bitcoin. We start always off by looking at the full spectrum of analysis here because it helps us remember that this is not a short story. Anybody who's day trading, I'm not a fan of day trading. I like to take multiple month trades. That's okay. It seems a lot more beneficial. We can go over some of those in the later part of this video, so be sure to stick around. But one of the things we're interested in is this space right here. This is the new trading range that we are starting to form. So if we zoom in on the 4 hour, it becomes a lot more noticeable. And we did go over this yesterday. I just like to repeat myself because we're not trying to predict the markets, we're just trying to move with it. So again, fundamentally, we're looking for either a break above the box into an SOS or a break below the box into a last point of supply weakness. Again, with all the stimulus talks on the table, it's very likely that we're going to see a bullish outlook for Bitcoin. This is the sentiment I have stood by, but it's always good to be aware of the fact that yes, we could come down to as low as $6,000 to test that lower regression line, as we have seen in many other places before. Again, not the current position I think that is likely, but a possibility nonetheless. So instead of being wishful thinkers and hopeful, we just look at all the possibilities and we let that be our clear and deciding factor. Now, for those of you that do not know much about the Wyckoff trading method, I suggest you study. You can join our private group to do so as well. We have lots of great feedback from all of our members, but really what it does and what it allows you to do is take into account the amount of time necessary to make a good investment and a good trade. Many times before I've said this, entering in the spring is a great place now. Anytime I see fear and panic at the levels that we saw at the pandemic, my goal as an market operator is to accumulate. I think we're going to see this SOS probably somewhere upwards of maybe even $16,000 before we see a back up to 12 and we actually resume our bull market. More importantly though, Ethereum, our market leader, not our market alpha, but our market leader. So our alpha is the one that we base our portfolio off of. So I measure my portfolio in Bitcoin, not in US dollars. I've done that for my crypto portfolio the entire time Bitcoin has been trading. I feel that is a smart way to go because I'm not trying to acquire more US dollars in that account. I'm trying to acquire more Bitcoin. So as long as there's more Bitcoin in my account from the trades that I make, I'm happy and I feel like I've been successful. So I generally trade against Bitcoin's pairings, but here because Ethereum is a large-scale enterprise solution that has massive on and off ramps for fiat, we are charting it in the US dollar pair. Again, what I want to go over here is, here's the spring. Beautiful, beautiful spring. Again, now that I know as a market operator, my job is to enter inside of all of these kind of panicky events and accumulate. This is still in an accumulation range all the way up till 280. I actually entered here, which is kind of fun. We'll take a closer look at it. See this smaller accumulation range? And this is what I think is very interesting, is now Bitcoin is doing the same thing. It's forming an accumulation range inside the box. So as you noted, here's the new accumulation range being formed right under the top of the trading range, and we saw the exact same thing with Ethereum up to the top of the trading range, form a new accumulation into this regression line, again, which we see identical to Bitcoin. I do believe Bitcoin is going to have its breakout probably after the November elections, unless we see some type of major stimulus come into play, and it might happen before, again, following up this regression line. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that. Again, the reason we're using Ethereum as the market indicator is because it led the market and has led the market to date. We've gone over this since June, and it's noticeable because, can anyone guess? I'll give you a second to guess. Why are we using Ethereum as our market indicator? And if you guessed because we're already seeing the SOS, then you're correct. We've already seen the SOS in Ethereum, which means we are in a bull market, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations! We're in a bull market for Ethereum. That is very exciting, and we have some very, very exciting plays ahead of us. Now, everything could go wrong, right? We could turn into total market turmoil and everything could collapse, but given the current market sentiments around the fact that they're going to keep printing money, although I don't believe that's actually the case. They think that the Federal Reserve creates reserves for the banks, and the banks take out more loans, but it's not actually liquidity, because all they're doing is creating the ability to make more debt, not actually printing money. Different story, but we won't go over that because it's not my forte. I'm much more of like a data scientist for money flow. So as we can see here, this final regression line in Ethereum also leads us out to around November 3rd, which you can see this pinpoint here, right between October and November 5th. I do suspect we will see that, and it also matches our creek judgment. So for those of you, again, that are studying or would like to study the Wyckoff method, you can find an enormous amount of information on the internet. I suggest you study. You've got your PSY, your BCLX, your AR, your ST, your resistance, your creek. This jump across the creek is really what we're looking for, and this creek is at least fundamentally drawn in here with this green line. Now, there are other people who use the 1 week chart to look at this very similarly, and they're often also using the 30-day moving average, 30-week moving average. I do not have it on there right this second. I thought I did. Must not have saved my charts. Nonetheless, we can still make the common assumption. BCLX, AR, STY. Here we're seeing this. I do suspect we're going to see that resistance run up against the top and then come back down and below the creek till November 3rd before a final breakout. I am awaiting this change in the market because this will signal a run in Ethereum upwards of $800, and I think on a longer term scale, probably up until 2023, 2024, where we actually end up having a bull market that can bring us up as high as $2,900, the top regression line here. So we want to make sure that everyone keeps the proper outlook and understanding that this is not day trading. Money is made here by sitting tight on a position. The best position would have been to have entered at the spring and just be patient. If you haven't entered, if you didn't enter, I think the next best positions to enter are on the backup phase. But wait, I can't stress how many times people get way too over emotional and excited, and they enter into the market earlier than they should have, thinking, oh yeah, that's the bottom, this is an undervalued asset. No, wait. I would rather be a late winner than an early loser, I believe is the quote on that one. So look at it this way. Again, we're looking for our creek crossing, could take all the way out till November here. That's important. Let's be patient. As soon as we see this resistance check and then a break above the creek, I will be making massive, massive plays into Ethereum here, and I will likely continue buying and increasing my play all the way up that count, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, I only have $1,000. Okay, well, sorry, that's not where I'm playing. If you have to adjust your playing sentiment for how much money you have, just buy less. Buy $10 here, or $10 here, or $100 here, or $100 here, until you could become extremely confident about the play, because Ethereum could come down as low as $248 for this backup phase. Now, I do not believe that is the case. it is always important to make sure that you are not trying to predict the markets. You are moving with them. I've said this over and over and over again. It is more valuable to you to know exactly where you are in the markets than it is to actually be in the market. Once you know where you are, you can make money off being in the market. If you do not know where you are, you will likely lose money being in the market unless you got lucky. And hey, there's nothing wrong with getting lucky, but I tell you one thing, that won't last very long. So why not learn to basically, you learn to figure out where you are in these markets. I cannot stress enough how much time it takes to really get into this type of stuff. So it's just more and more valuable to be doing your homework and studying along the way. So again, I'm waiting for this clear break and trend change in Ethereum here, which would be, again, a resistance check, a break below the creek, another one of these, and then a run out somewhere around between November and December is the break mark that I'm looking for. And as you can see here, we've responded to these regression lines very clearly. Bang, 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 bang. And we're tightening up. And you see actually more supply come in here. And this is a very key part, guys. I want to go over this because it's really important not just to pay attention to your candlesticks or your area chart, whichever one you're using, but to pay attention to your volume indicators here. So if we go down to the bottom, as we can see, I want to point this out because this is extremely important. You can see at the bottom of the screen here. I wish I could have enough time to zoom in and make cool video edits. I should try to hire someone. But see here, this volume spike, or this one. Let's start with this. This is called stopping action, where we got it chewed up and absorbed all the supply. Here is the next one, and we see a high amount of volume and a decreased supply size. Right here, another stopping action, but decreased price action. This is important because each time this has happened, it's decreased volatility. That's important because what it's signaling to us is that there is less and less supply on the open market to be dumped. What CompMan does is he tests the waters by taking profits. CompMan has been buying all the way up this, and he uses that to see if he can dump the markets to get it lower, to get a better price. He's already taking profits effectively and re-entering based off that same idea. Very shortly after, you will see big volume of supply come in on the positive side as well. Usually not long after, you can see this indicated by our purple volume sticks down here below. These here's your sell, and then here's your accumulation and suppression volume. Sell, supply, and then accumulation, suppression. Sell, accumulation, suppression. So it's very important to be able to understand and recognize what this stopping action looks like. It also is shown here very clearly by a decrease in supply, which means that the volume is actually decreasing and the volatility is actually decreasing as well. So here you see again a declining volume signature followed by a declining price spread. Very important to recognize these things, and I'll show you why in just a second with something like Avalanche. Now, I'm a big fan of Avalanche, but I haven't bought any yet. Well, why haven't I bought any yet? Because we haven't seen these stopping signals come in. And unless we do, I'm not interested in it. So here we can see Avalanche fell off the cliff the other day. Again, really interesting technology, but no stopping action on the 4 hour specifically. You can see that the volume supply has not put in any stopping action whatsoever. As soon as we see a volume spike break above this regular area here, this is where I will start to enter. I'm going to wait till the markets just tell me what they're doing. I'm not going to try to predict them because that's just silly madness. Okay. So one last look here quickly at Binance token as well, as I am interested in this play. And Tron too, actually. I'm not a fan of Tron, but it's showing us some really good technicals. So is Bancor BNT, so I have them on the permanent list at the moment. Tell you what, guys, tomorrow we'll take a look at Theta because I think that's important to do. Some of you guys were in that trade, I know, from the Private Bear family. I was not, but I will take a look at it tomorrow. So stick around and come back tomorrow if you're interested in that. But for now, again here, stopping action on the supply and an accumulation that's been taking place. Here is the other stopping action, the volume bar indicated below here, right, bam, right here. So we saw again a little bit of stopping action, a fair amount of downward price pressure, but more importantly, we are still in a bullish trend for Binance. So I closed out all my position, but I also need you guys to remember, like, this is not day trading, okay? See my entry all the way back down here in August? Right, so I was up, even to this point, 40% at around 5 to 6x because it was a 10x leverage play. Don't play with leverage unless you know what you're doing. Like, it's not for the newbie. You're probably going to lose all of your money getting emotional. But I ran up, I took around a 60% profit, and I sold all the way up this. If you're in the private den, you'll know I sold like 10% here, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here, and I was left with around approximately maybe 20% of my position at the top. I always liquidate now 70 to 100% of the position, depending on how confident I am about this trade. Now, I'm quite confident about Binance, but even still, the other day I exited on this double top for two reasons. The main one, which we will go over by double clicking on our screen here and showing you the rest of our indicators, was actually a bearish divergence. So here you can see we have a rising price channel, a rising trend, right? From top to top. We'll draw it like this. This is why I need a video editor, so I can kind of show this without showing all my mistakes. So here we see a higher high, so a higher high, and we see a declining trend line here. So this is bearish divergence, when you have the opposition of the price going up, but the RSI going down. And here you actually see the opposite. Here you see a downwards trend on the RSI, but an upwards trend on the chart itself. So we have both going on. We actually, on the 45, is this the 45 minute or the 4 hour right now? On the 4 hour, we just had bearish divergence, and now we have bullish divergence taking place as well. Now, I would like to be a little bit more sure about that play, and I'll show you what that looks like on a smaller time frame once again here. So if we actually go to the 45 minute, and I want you guys to notice this area here, and the RSI on the bottom. So here we go. Again, we have a downwards slope this way and a rising slope this way. See how they oppose each other? This is known as bullish divergence. It is the opposite of what we were just looking at. And it's important to remember, we actually had that here too. We had a rising trend line and a falling RSI. Very, very important and key to keep this in mind. The other thing that just happened here on the 45 minute too that you can see is we had a falling trend line and a rising RSI. Right? This is on the 45 minutes, so it's not reliable on, like, say, the monthly or the weekly time frame. But if we go out on these much larger time frames, which I'll do here just in a second, we actually see something very important, which is that we are still in a very bullish move for Binance as well. So on the weekly, if I get rid of all my drawings here and I open this up, scroll this down, here we can see this cross right here that's about to take place. The 21 weekly moving average is about to cross the 50. Now, could we come down and test the 9 or maybe even the 50? Well, yeah, we could. Well, why? Okay, well, that's where the lowest regression line is here anyways, and we've seen this multiple times after the SOS, that it comes all the way down to the lower regression line. Is that for sure? No, it's not what happened in Tron. Tron actually didn't come back down to its lower regression line before it took off. So we'll take a look at Tron here really quickly as well, just as an indicator, because after its SOS and its backup phase, it did not come all the way back down to its lower regression line before moving upwards. So there is no clear indicator about this one. And this is why, guys, after the SOS into the backup phases, wait until they turn around. So on the 45 minute here, we can go in and we can retrospectively look at what happened. Here we came down, the SOS came down, created a new regression line, because here's the lower one. We hit this and we turned around. This move here is where I feel that we are in Binance right now. We are in this kind of range, stuck between its previous supports and resistance on Binance as well. So here you can see, if we zoom in closely, you saw this same type of thing. Here's the move up, and we're getting stuck in this area. Now, again, what's interesting is that if you actually zoom out even further, you can see why. There's a massive amount of support and resistance. Here's a top, and here is an area of support and resistance that comes through all the way along this line. So it's no wonder that we've gotten stuck in this area. Once we close above this and we move further, I do believe we're going to see around over the next while here, let's say, I don't know, let's give it a nice time frame, something like a year. We could see a move all the way to 1,000 Satoshis for Binance again too. So keeping a close eye on this one. But more importantly, guys, I'm actually looking at the lower regression lines to get to first. So the intermediary part of my play that I was in a long aimed at was actually here around 42,000 to 44,000, where you see this massive volume support on the VPVR. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that is helpful. Thank you guys. Leave us your thoughts, your comments. Gently caress that like button because I know a lot of you do not like smashing it. So just caress it gently. Leave us all your love or whatever. You know, actually, tell you what, for those of you that leave ridiculous comments about stupid things, I just remove your ability to comment because this is YouTube. If you come in and say some crap that's like, oh, blah, 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 sure, blah, 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 I don't care. You're wasting my time. You've wasted other people's time. I do not care about politics. It means nothing to me. I'm here to grow my portfolio only. If you want to talk about politics and theater, go somewhere else to do it. If Trump tweets some nonsense and the markets go down and he tweets 24 hours later and the markets go up, I'm laughing at you because all I'm here to do is make money. I don't give a crap about your puppet theater. Anyways, we'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll see you guys again on the other side.